Some stories aren't just stories. They're warnings, they're truths people never had the courage to tell. This is one of those stories. When my twin sister was being silently destroyed behind closed doors, I didn't just listen. I became her. And I made him regret every bruise he ever left. This is our story. And he never saw any of it coming. When I met Daniel, he wasn't anything special, just a second-year medical student with permanent bags under his eyes and a dream too big for his wallet. I worked full-time in human resources, paid my own rent, owned an aging but reliable car. He lived with 3 roommates, slept 4 hours a night, and rotated between cheap instant meals and overboiled rice. He didn't have much, but he had words. Words that felt thoughtful. Promises that sounded like forever. "I just need someone to believe in me," he said once, after his first semester nearly broke him. And I, like the fool I'll never be again, raised my hand. We got married just before his 3rd year started. He couldn't work while studying, rotations, labs, endless classes. So I took on extra shifts. I canceled outings. I even paused my own post-grad plans. For 5 years, I became his financial shadow, the steady one. Rent, I paid it. Books, I bought them. Clothes, I ironed and folded right between loads of my own stress. And through it all, he loved me, or so I thought. I remember during his final year, we used to talk about where we'd move. He wanted to practice in Seattle or maybe Boston. I'd smile and say, "As long as we're together, it's home." He never corrected me then. Not once. The week he graduated, we had a tiny celebration at our apartment. Cheap wine, takeout food, a big banner I made by hand that said, "Dr. Daniel and his forever fan." He laughed when he saw it, lifted me by the waist, kissed my forehead. That night felt like love, like arrival. 3 days later, I came home from work and found a manila envelope on the couch. Inside were divorce papers, signed, finalized on his side. No note. No explanation. Just a cold set of lines that said irreconcilable differences. I called him 3 times. He never answered. The 4th call went to voicemail. His greeting had already changed. "Hi, you've reached Dr. Daniel Wilson. Please leave a message." Not we, not us. Just him. And me. I sat there, holding the pieces of a life I hadn't even realized was crumbling. I thought I was building our dream. But apparently, I was just funding his. If you've ever loved someone through their pain, if you've ever stood tall for someone who felt too small to fight, then you already know. Sometimes karma isn't a thing that comes later. Sometimes it shows up wearing the same face as the woman he thought he broke. For 3 weeks, I didn't sleep full nights. I'd close my eyes and open them again at 3:14 a.m., replaying conversations in my head, twisting every memory for signs I missed and red flags I ignored. They say silence is peaceful. But after betrayal, it's a war zone. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom, his socks in the drawer, but not one voice, not one word. He spoke to me with forms. He ended us with bullet points and checkboxes. But what he didn't know is, I'm not the same woman I was 5 years ago. I used to cry when I broke a plate. Now I was learning how to sharpen the edge. I started gathering every receipt. Tuition, rent, bills, proof that his degree lived on my shoulders. I built a folder, not with rage, but with precision. He had left, but legally we weren't done. And if he thought I'd go down quietly, he really had no idea who I became while he was too busy becoming a man worth leaving. I consulted a lawyer. He asked, "Do you want revenge or resolution?" I smiled calmly and said, "Both, but I'll take whichever teaches him more." My lawyer was brutal, sharp. She looked at our case and said, "You carried this man across a finish line, and instead of turning around, he spat over his shoulder." We filed. Alimony, emotional damages. and a very public request for repayment of educational support. Because yes, he could now afford to give me back what he took without ever asking. And then I disappeared. No calls. No reactions. I went ghost. Why? Because revenge sometimes doesn't need noise. Silence is a language men like him never understand, until it empties a room, a bank account, or their ego. One day, I received a request to meet. Not from him. From someone else, a woman, someone I didn't know. She sat across from me in a downtown cafe, ordered nothing, and handed me a photo. It was him, laughing, holding her hand, at a graduation party. Another woman, another life. He had been building it before he ever got his degree. She thought he was single. He told her I was just a roommate. She wanted answers. I wanted peace. So I told her, I don't think he lies to hurt. I think he lies because he thinks truth owes him nothing. She whispered, he said you broke him. I laughed, the kind of laugh that doesn't echo, just fades into strength. He was already broken, I said. I just stopped holding the weight together. You see, I didn't need to destroy him. His lies were already doing that. I just made sure they had better aim. 6 months passed. No calls from him. Emails from lawyers, yes. A few generic responses. Emotionless exchanges that once came from lips that claimed to love me. Empty apologies don't echo. They just die on impact. I wasn't bitter anymore. That feeling had burned out weeks ago. Now I woke up without checking if anyone had left a message. Now I made coffee and drank it warm. Now I didn't count the love I gave. I measured the peace I'd gained. One evening, I got an unexpected knock at my door. There he was. Not in the expensive doctor suit he used to post about. In a faded t-shirt, tired, slouched. He asked if I had a moment. Just one. Like I had nothing but time left to give after 5 years. I let him speak. He said the woman he left me for cheated weeks after moving in. Took money, left drama. He lost his apartment trying to clean up the chaos. He even said, "You were the only stable thing I ever had, and I didn't recognize that until I lost it." But the truth was, he never lost me. He never had me. He had my energy, my belief, my credit card. What he thought was love was my loyalty. But loyalty is never owed to deception. I told him, "You didn't break me. You just broke the mirror that showed you what you could have been if you valued me." He looked like he wanted to cry. Like he thought this scene would end with a hug, not with reflection. He asked me, "Is there any version of us still left?" I said, "Yes, but it only plays back in your memory." There's a kind of justice that doesn't need gavel or courtrooms. It's called clarity. And I handed it to him without a voice raised, without a single tear. Just a peace he'd never understand, because men like that don't chase peace. They chase power until it leaves. And I had already left. I closed the door and turned around. No music played, no dramatic swelling in the background. Just breath, just silence, just me. I wasn't healed because he came back. I was healed because I didn't want him back. You see, I was never the backup plan. I was the blessing he handled without care. And when someone does that, you don't negotiate your worth. You teach it. If you've ever loved someone through their pain, if you've ever stood tall for someone who felt too small to fight, then you already know. Sometimes karma isn't a thing that comes later. Sometimes it shows up wearing the same face as the woman he thought he broke. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Because even in silence, the truth has a voice.